chart, same things. It goes by fast. So a couple months ago, right, in July, Dr. Patterson and several other staff members came to Eastern Kansas to really support and facilitation of improvement for Eastern Kansas. And they gave us some information of where we can put some focus, but also they are going through, visited focus groups, listening sessions, or walk-arounds, discussion with managers, spoke with the front line. Over 250 employees gave feedback, again, which is another way that we've garnered feedback to be able to see what we can do to improve. Well, these are some of the areas that that we said we can look for. They said we can help and support, facilitate some of our areas of opportunity. Surgery at both campuses, primary care, community care, nursing, as we have a new nurse exec on board here. And they're involved right now, as maybe many of you have already talked to him. Dr. Coleman, our Vision 15 surgery lead, has been talking and gathering data and assessing surgery even more so. We've actually already had a team here in Leavenworth who were working about what is needed to be able to help continue surgery and expand surgery here, even before some of that visits came, but they're already doing that. Primary care, we've had Dr. Barnett, our deputy CMO, Chief Medical Officer for the Visions here, been talking with our PACT and primary care teams to gather more information, reviewing that data, workload, and staffing, and they will be communicating back with us of developing some plans of where do we want to go based upon your input as well. Dr. Patterson actually even today was talking with the community care staff, supervisors, and is going to come back and learn the workflow and understand it as this year we have our plan to send 38,000 consults to community care. Huge increase from past year. Part of that's Mission Act, and part of that when we lose a provider and we can't recruit or it's difficult to recruit, we want to make sure our veterans are being seen. We want our veterans to trust us and choose us. And so Dr. Patterson's learning about that so that he understands community care for the Vision and be able to help all sites with us. A couple other areas, leadership and engagement, sharing the good things we're doing and where else we can go. Employee engagement, about all employee survey. Resource management across 2 campuses. The Vision, I'll let Dr. Patterson talk a little bit about that. But the support for us, but also across all Vision 15. And then training to support servant leadership. We know we had a session a few weeks ago where managers and supervisors came and servant leadership and talked a little bit about that, which is where we continue to do more of that as well. So let me turn some time over to you, Dr. Patterson.
Thanks, Rudy.
You bet.
I appreciate everyone's time today, and we'll have some questions at the end, so if there's something, write it down and remember to ask me later. One of the things I want to talk about is where we're going as a network and then how it's going to impact you. The Mission Act is here for a good reason. I mean, Kansas is rural. We have veterans who live a long way off, and they're not going to get care if they have to drive 100 miles sometimes just for routine type things. So we need to have a mechanism in place for them to get that type of care. But we're in the business of providing care. If we keep sending it all to the community, what happens to us? We'll go out of business. We'll just become an insurance agency, and that's not what we want to do. We want to stay in business. So I met this week with a couple of the other medical center directors who are planning a meeting for the end of October. It's our yearly planning meeting. And their focus of this meeting is what can we do to facilitate our survival and give us a future. So it's building on our future. And so the point is, while the community care is there for a reason, we don't want it to become the reason that we exist. We want to continue to see veterans here and offer them the things they need. Now, in St. Louis, that's going to be robotic surgery. But it may not be robotic surgery in every place. In Poplar Bluff, it's going to be telemedicine because they just don't have all the facilities and all the size. But if they can keep a veteran in the system by using telemedicine, that's what we want to leverage. So the point of the planning and the meeting is to not only try to keep everything within our own system, but also design it for you and your particular system. The reason we're talking this way is because in the preliminary budget for next year, we got a big increase, which is good news. When I was here in July, a lot of the comments made where we had a $30 million deficit, okay? And that phrase was used again and again and again, 30 million, 30 million, 30 million, again and again and again. I heard it several times. Well, that impacts you negatively because that's insurmountable on your own. As a network with a bigger budget increase and with better planning, then maybe we can apply that increase to keep us in business, okay? So that's an important way to look at that. In the past, most VAs, and we're no different, have said we have this much money so we can afford this many people. Well, that's kind of backwards because the gap in between here and here means you're going to send it to the community, right? We want to look at it differently. So our approach is, what is our mission? What are we here for? What does it make sense for us to do? Let's look at the people we need to get that mission done and build this way into the mission instead of this way into what we have enough to afford. We got a bailout this year. Not every network did, some did. A small number of them did. But our plan is to look at the mission and what we want to be, and if there's a deficit, ask for it early. Don't wait till the end of the year. It doesn't do you any good as a healthcare system for us to bail you out in August because you couldn't plan anything. At the end of the year, it's too late to bill, and then we're back into the next new year. So we're going to flip that and think differently. Not how much do we have, so what can I afford, but rather, what do I need to be, and what am I going to ask for to get there? Okay, so it's a different way of looking at things. And I'm encouraged by that, because I think we can do it. And in fact, the Deputy Undersecretary has asked me for our way of thinking so that we can get there, in order to help her with some other networks that are having financial stretches in addition. The all-employee survey. To me, that is the most critical thing that you do every year. As a leader, you make comments, you fill in the survey, you tell me where you have concerns, where you want us to continue in some way, what you want us to change. And I know this morning in Topeka, some people were concerned about the anonymity of it. And hey, you know, if you're in my job and you have to put down that you're over the age of 42 plus, and you've been in the VA for 30 years, and you're an Army veteran, and you're male, and you're a senior executive, it pretty much narrows it down to me in my work group. I mean, there isn't anyone else in that work group that's that. I get it, you know, but 74% response rate is a great response rate nationwide. I mean, most hospitals are just tickled pink if they can get to 60. So you guys are way above that. That's important. You've given them an idea of what you need in order to do your job better. But here's the task I put on all the medical center directors. The all-employee survey, I want each work group in every hospital, not the hospital as a whole, but each work group to design what they need to do to make their workplace better. The hospital's got its own. Communications, accountability, the service line will have its own, maybe your section will have its own, but it's got to be the work group. You've got to sit down with the people you work with every day and design a plan for how you can make your work go better. None of us came here to get rich. We all want to make a living, put our kids through school, go on vacations, retire. Because if you want to get rich, you picked the wrong thing. There's a lot of other jobs out there, many of them criminal, that you can make a lot more money. But seriously, most of us, if not all of us, came here to help people. That's why we're here. And we came here to help a specific group of people known as veterans. So the point of it is, I want all the work groups in a hospital to design the work group's plan for what they need to make your job run better, so you can feel good about what you do and you can serve veterans better too. So, thanks.
Great, thanks, Neil, appreciate that. Dr. Patterson has Dr. Patterson has always been supportive of Eastern Kansas since I've been here, probably before, I'm sure, as well, and understanding that. But there's different dynamics, of course, that we go through. Let me ask a question. When you hear the Mission Act, since we just started implementing that back in June, what first comes to your mind? Speak up.
Chaos.
What is it? Chaos, okay. Anything else?
Volume erosion.
Volume erosion, okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Losing patience and volumes of money. I think what comes to us, and it kind of goes around that same thing, is community care, right? Because it's going out there. That's a piece of it, absolutely, and probably the biggest piece of it. But there are other things within that Mission Act, and we're going to be hearing more of that. Caregiver support, there's incentives for recruitment of physicians and payback of loans and different things like that that it's going to roll out. Well, another piece which in the Mission Act was overall assessment of market assessment across every facility and network. And we're in the middle of that right now. Not just Eastern Kansas, but all the sites within Vision 15. And the object of that is to create that high-performing network. Results are going to be data-driven and comprehensive, and it's developed with an approach to ask those who are involved with it, because data is just not enough. We've got to ask that input. I think you look at the same thing with all-employee survey. There's some data there, but it's asking you as well and getting that feedback. The process is data collection and validation. Data has actually been completed. We're validating it, and we found some changes to it. I brought it up in Topeka. I'll bring it here. Did you know that there are 3 million people living in Topeka? There's not, all right? There's far fewer than that. But that's what the data showed. So we've got to validate that. We've got to validate it because this is going to drive where our organization goes as well. And so there are some other things, and Tom's done a good job with that, but we're looking at that data as well. Site visits are coming October 9th and 10th, where they are coming on site, talking with us, asking us questions of what we do, where do our veterans come from, even though they can see some of the data. The data just doesn't speak all to it. And some of our expected results, again, increasing access to quality and care for our veterans, improving satisfaction and experience, balancing that demand and supply, using the resources we have. Use VA resources, partnering with other government agencies, Fort Riley, Fort Leavenworth, academic affiliates, and other private sector partners as well. And then really implement those best, world best facilities. And so we're continuing to work with the vision on that. But that's some of the strategic direction of market assessment. Well, here's some of the data. And these are based upon enrollees. And if you look at it in 10 years, 4.8 decrease in Topeka on enrollees. Just a slight decrease here of 0.6%. Overall in Vision 15, 11.5% decrease. In 20 years, 14% decrease in Topeka. Growth is occurring out in Gary and Riley counties, by Junction City, and overall 7% decrease in Leavenworth. Well, this last one, enrollee priority group shift, we see that, based upon the data, that a big group is going to be shifting to priority group 1. What does that mean? That's 50% service connected and greater. So that means they're going to have a lot of services that's going to be available to them, and they're going to seek that care. So although we may be decreasing some in certain areas, we're probably going to be wanting more in different types of care that we are going to provide. So we're going to be here providing that to them. Priority group increases a little bit. The other priorities go down, probably shifting towards priority group 1. But we do want our veterans to trust us and choose us. So market penetration is also a big piece of what do we provide to those enrollees and how many enrollees. And we actually are high, and these data individuals stated, man, we can't believe you're so high. And some of these counties, and these are it. These are counties, not necessarily areas, but it's pretty high. 73% down to 42% of the enrollees within our areas are coming to receive care. We're not 100%. Right? Maybe we can't get 100%, But we're going to strive to, and we can do better, talking about our services and going out and outreach. And so we're going to continue to do that and do that better. Well, we have a dual campus. Different challenges come with that. Look at that first one, largest acreage in the VA. Number 5, 333 acres in the 2 campuses combined, right? Greater Los Angeles, Maine, Tennessee, Maryland. That's a lot of space. Now, not all have buildings and not all have care, but we still have to take care of some of that. And our engineering staff do a great job, the landscapers, in making that look wonderful for us. We have just the distance of the sites of care that we have. Age of our hospitals, I talked about that. We're historic here. EUL, that provides some challenges and sometimes extra time to be able to get some improvements through. We have similar services at both sites. So if you look at some of those Greater Los Angeles, they're big, they're huge. They don't have two sites, where it's sometimes providing the same services. They provide many services, but different, right? Support services needed for complementing the veteran care at both sites. Police, environmental management, engineering, logistics, safety staff, and business operations. That's only a few I've added there, but there's a lot there. And so as we talked about the budget challenge and what Dr. Patterson said, that sometimes it amplifies what we have too. So what now? So our namesake of our hospital is Dwight D. Eisenhower here, and Comrie O'Neill for Topeka. Comrie and O'Neill are 2 separate veterans that they are named after. Oftentimes we say Topeka or Leavenworth. We need to remember who we're named after and that our mission is in making sure that we